What's going on, Golf Addicts? DB here to give you everything you need, nothing you don't about Vidanta Vallarta, the host site of the Mexico Open. This is only the third year we've seen this site host a PGA Tour event, and I'm going to get into all the details. I'm going to share my screen on Bet the Number. We're going to talk about how this course has played in the past. I'm going to show you a really cool look back feature on Bet the Number. If you're not using, I think you should be. I'm going to open up the Bet the Number custom model, see what's happening early on. I'm recording this on Saturday of the Genesis at Riviera. It's turned into a total crap show, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into it. First of all, just some basics about this golf course. Again, only the third year it's hosted. It's on the coast in Mexico near like the Puerto Vallarta area. It's a Greg Norman design. Surprised they're still hanging on to any Greg Norman designs with all the live stuff going on. They're playing it as a par 71. And it's one of the longer courses on tour. Plays to about 74.50 on the yardage book. And it's Pass Palom, tee to green. Pass Palom is a typical coastal grass that we see. It's pretty soft. You don't get a lot of rollout in the fairways. It's pretty receptive on the greens. And it tends to be pretty slow on the greens in the event the wind kicks up. And that is the real defense of this golf course, is if the wind and the breezes get going. And then you got to really, pay attention. But they can't get it going super fast on the greens, because then if it was windy, you'd lose it. You'd absolutely lose it. We've had, in the last 2 years, this is what's happened. John Rahm won the first year in 2022. Tony Finau was second. Last year, Tony Finau won first. And then I actually think John Rahm might have been second there too. Let me look. I can't remember. Yes, John Rahm was second. So they literally flip-flopped. This course is not hard to figure out. I will tell you that. It does have around 100 bunkers. A lot of water on the golf course comes into play on around 10 or 11 holes, depending on the setup. It's got 4 par 5s and 5 par 3s. That is, they turned one of the par 4s into a par 5. Then they've got the 5 par 3s. A couple of the par 3s are a little short, but the rest of them are pretty lengthy. There's one drivable par 4 for most of the field, and then the rest of those are pretty big par 4s. You really got to take advantage of the par 5s of this course. It's still, despite the length, it's still played pretty easy. And a lot of that is due to it just being soft, receptive greens, guys just wailing, okay? You got to go low. You got to make the birdies or better. You got to, like I said, you got to take advantage of those par 5s. You got to throw darts. Similar courses would be a lot of the coastal courses, like in Punta Cana for Corrales, the one at Pebble Beach, or not at Pebble Beach, Puerto Rico, Cocoa Beach, whatever. Mayakoba has similar grasses. Mayakoba is definitely more penal off the tee. We just saw that at a live event. I hit Joaquin Neiman at 14-1. Thank you very much. But at Mayakoba, it's not necessarily rip driver off every tee shot. There's the mangroves and the jungles and all that stuff that cause problems. But overall, again, the course is not tough to figure out. Let me share my screen on Bet the Number, and let's open up and see what the course info is telling us on the Mexico Open at Vidanta. All right, here we go. By the way, shout out to our friends at Swannies for decking me out with this sweet hoodie from the Waste Management. This hoodie is for sale on swannies.co if you want it. Now, it doesn't have the Waste Management logo, but it is a sweet little, I don't know what they call this, like a quilted hoodie or something. Really nice, very nice, kind of like mid-weight, so keep you warm, but also not super light. It's got a little pocket in the front with some zips. It's very nice. Also, the hat. Check out swannies.co if you haven't already. They're good friends of ours, and they are supporting the Tour Junkies podcast this year. So we appreciate them. You can use code TJ25 to get 25% off your entire order, and you can use it over and over again. They got men's, women's, and juniors apparel at Swannies. You can scan the QR code here if you're watching on YouTube, or click the link in the description on the podcast. All right. Now let me share my screen. We're going to open up Bet the Number and take a look at, I think this is the right screen. Yes, Vidanta Vallarta. Here we go. So this is the course page from BTN. Now, with only 2 years history, we've got both years selected here. You've got some intel on the golf course here. You've got your designer, your yardage. This is how it has averaged for the 2 years that we've had it. So fairways and regulation go up because these fairways are pretty wide. They're about 35 to 40 yards wide on average. So that hit percentage goes up. And the missed fairway here, as long as you're not in the water, is not a big deal. It's like really not a big deal at all. Similar to kind of what you see at TPC Scottsdale, where like you miss the rough or you miss the fairway and you're in the rough, and it's not that bad. So missing the fairway, not a huge deal as long as you're not in the water, because there are some penalty strokes that are had here at Mexico if you have the big miss. And like I said in the beginning, the Pass Palom fairways are pretty soft. So there's not a ton of roll. It's a lot of carry, maybe one or two big bounces and a small rollout. Other than that, you're not getting firm and fast conditions here. Full Cindy season is what I have here in my notes. Absolute full Cindy season. This is a very driver heavy golf course. We're going to see that here in just a second. I'll bet the number. And one of our little caddy nuggets is that we've heard from the last couple years is a lot of the hard tee shots have trouble to the right. A lot of the hard tee shots have trouble to the right, but it still fades the long ball, or it still favors the long ball and the faders. That may sound counterintuitive because you think if he's a fader and he misses big and he's too far right, he's in trouble. But our caddy friend said that's not necessarily the case. The faders are comfortable. You just want to make sure they don't have a big right miss tendency, which we may or may not see in the model here coming up. I'm not actually sure. I haven't opened it up yet. But other than that, greens and regulations is about the same here at Vidanta Vallarta. And in terms of approach play, we'll get to that here in a second. You're going to see where the approach shots come from. It's pretty obvious. Everything else is about standard, like scrambling, three putts, birdies, bogeys, par three, par four, par five. Everything's pretty standard. Here are your guys who have finished in the top 5 over the last 2 years in their strokes gain numbers. Ton of green here, ton of green here. And I'm going to talk about putting here in a second because there's a couple of things to think about with putting. Around the green almost doesn't matter at all. Really just doesn't matter. And you can gain some strokes off the tee, especially if you are one of the, for sure, longer hitters in the field. I mean, Eric Cole, not a long hitter. Grillo's not a long hitter. Smotherman, a little longer than average, not super long. But you can see what John Rahm can do here, gaining 1.3, 1.5, Finau 1.3, 0.77, Kitayama almost a full stroke. So definitely can do it. And here's where, Bet the Number goes back and calculates 13 driver holes, which is every par 4 and par 5 is a full send. Even the drivable par 4, there's not really a whole lot of reason to lay it up or to lay back. Remember, 5 par 3s on this course. The bomb opportunity is up to 2.3 strokes per round if you're 20 yards longer than average. So your super bombers at a big advantage here. And your shorter players are at a 1 1/3 stroke disadvantage. And here's your approach shot distribution. Pretty clear here. Over the first 2 years, around 11.2 shots per round have come from 175 plus. So a lot of mid irons and long irons, which again is going to favor mostly higher swing speeds. 4.8 shots over the last 2 years have come from the 126 to 175, and only 2 shots per round over the last 2 years have come from inside 125. Pretty obvious, right? As we start to see how this is all shaping up, and a lot of them from the fairway and from the rough. You can see the rough penalty is very average, if less than average, honestly. So not a big deal. Around the green is kind of similar. Vidanta has one of the, like I said, easiest green regulation numbers over the last 2 years. And it also applies to every yardage and every surface. As you can see here on Bet the Number, we're looking at fairways, rough, bunker, and fringe. And if you hovered over these rows, the difficulties you would notice are all less than tour average. So it's not a hard place to chip from if you have to chip. But the problem is if you're chipping, you probably ain't going low. Okay. And I think the winning scores here, John Rahm won at 17 under, Finau won at 24 under. So if there's no weather in play, that's obviously the ultimate, that's the defense, as I mentioned. So if the weather is up and the wind is up, then obviously around the green play is going to get boosted. But for the most part, we could probably leave it out of the model or give it a very low rating. It could almost be ignored. And I do think that bad chippers don't have as many problems in these type of services when it's easier. It's obviously harder to separate themselves from the field. It's just like if you have a golf course like the US Open, what happens? You have the best ball strikers in the world tend to separate themselves, and the worst ball strikers tend to be at the bottom of the leaderboard. When that golf course is easier, it gets all crammed together. So same thing here. When it's really easy to chip around this place because of the paspalum, it kind of sits the ball up and it's slow on the greens. You can be aggressive. Around the greens, not tough. And as we look at putting, like I said, the greens are slow. The paspalum, they're pretty flat. It does level the playing field again in being a bad or a good putter. It just narrows everything, in my opinion. So if you're a really good putter, it's harder to separate yourself from the field. You can hit some putts with authority. And now there's going to be some guys that are going to be better at adapting to the slow speeds. Like if they're playing Riviera this weekend, and which I don't think a lot of them are, but if they're playing Riviera, and then they show up in Mexico. Adapting to being that aggressive on the pass palm could be a challenge. And you could look at some long-term pass palm play, especially at Cocoa Beach, putting at Corrales, and even Mayakoba, because the pass palm grass there too. So that's kind of a rundown of the golf course. I do want to show you this little nugget, that if you're not doing this, if this isn't part of your weekly process, it needs to be. And what we can do is, if we go into bet the number and we go to the tournament page, okay, you can jump years here. So if I go to 2023, if I go to 2024, it's going to bring up this year's field that's already loaded into bet the number, ready to go. But if I click 2023 and obviously 2022, any year that it's been played here, which is only these 2 years, and I select Mexico Open at Vidanta, it's going to pull up. It's going to pull up the leaderboard. Well, first of all, it's going to show me the averages for last year. So how does that? So for example, if you knew that last year, and this was not the case, but let's just say we knew that last year the weather was terrible. It was windy. It was a tough, brutal setup, right? This year, the weather was projected to do the same. And let's say the year before last, it was easy, right? No weather at all. Then I would want to look at this year, because it looks more like the weather this upcoming tournament. And I would want to compare and see how things changed from the averages. So that would be when it's really helpful, but it's helpful either way, because you're going to get these averages, but then it brings up the leaderboard. So this is the leaderboard at last year's Vidanta Vallarta, Mexico. Tony Finau won at 24 under, John Rahm at 21. It shows you how they did in all the major strokes gain categories, their fairways hit in regulation, green in regulation, ball speed, birdies per round, and bogeys per round. And you can select raw values, which is what I'm looking at here. You can select how they ranked in the field for those things and see how guys did. See, go to the bottom and see how that ended up, right? But you can see how these guys did in the raw values and the rankings to understand, you know, how the course played and what led to success. You also have incoming, I love this, incoming recent form from the last 5 tournaments they played, and incoming course history if they played it the last 5 years, which obviously this was only 1 year. So this is showing you what Tony Finau did here before, and then the form he had coming in, and then where he finished, and everybody in the field, which is super helpful to just give you a snapshot to start digesting what it takes to come into this course and play well. It doesn't take a lot of form, actually, as you can see, right? Like, look at some of these guys' form coming in. But like Cameron Champ's a great example. Cam Champ, bomber, usually only does really well on super long golf courses where he can really rip it and use a long iron to his advantage and all that stuff. Came in off of 3 missed cuts. Remember, that's the other thing. This tournament was played in April last year. April. Now, I have talked to some sources, and they don't really feel like it's going to play that much different. It's warm all year round, so the weather's not going to be that much different, and the surfaces aren't going to be that much different. So keep that in mind. But look at the incoming form for some of these guys. I mean, it's pretty bad on a lot of cases. But Cam Champ's a bomber, so he gets to this course and it suits him, and all of a sudden he's T8. Ben Taylor, also pretty long off the tee, 178 mile an hour ball speed. That's more than Tony Finau averaged that week. Coming off of 3 missed cuts, bang! Look what he does. Smotherman, I said he was kind of a little above average on ball speed, and that's what it shows here. I'm not really sure how he got here, but he's a good total driver, right? He hit a lot of fairways in regulation, and he's not slow in terms of ball speed, but no incoming form, really. Just been playing a lot. So that's a good thing to look at. If you're missing that in your weekly process, you need to add it. And if you're missing stuff like that because whoever you're using isn't providing that, you need to check out Bet the Number. I don't know why you wouldn't. Bet the Number is improving, y'all. They're not committing to improving weekly, but they are improving weekly. Last week, they added the live leaderboard. This week, they added the live leaderboard with the scorecard coming in. Like every week, they're adding things to this website to make it more and more just useful and better than the competition. Listen, and there's a lot of competition out there that are throwing out all these stats. You need to have all this stats, and who plays well in January when the Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow or not, and over in California. Like, that crap doesn't matter. Like, Bet the Number eliminates the stats. Like, we've had some people DM us, like, why doesn't Bet the Number have this stat? Well, because Bet the Number's people behind the scenes are telling you that stat is dumb. It's not predictive. It's noise. It's silly. So the Bet the Number folks have only added the stats that, based on their expertise, and I would argue their expertise behind the scenes is more than any other site imaginable out there right now. They're saying it doesn't matter. So if it's not in there, guess what? It probably doesn't matter. So check it out. You can use promo code TJ to get $5 off the monthly, $50 off the annual. And if you're a Discord member, remember, you can DM me or Pat in the Discord if you're a paying member, and we will give you a unique one-time promo code that will give you a massive discount on the annual plan. The reason the annual plan is so important is because we want you to see how much and how fast this site is improving. This site launched January 1st, y'all, and it is owned privately by only people who want to commit to this site, golf. That's it, the Bet the Number site. The same developers that built it are part owners of it. So do you think they care that the product stays up to date, that bugs get fixed quickly, and that features improve rapidly? 100%. And it's happening right before our eyes, and it's happened in the first 6-7 weeks of Bet the Number being live. So join us now. Scan the QR code if you haven't. Click the link in the description of the podcast or video. Now, let's open up the custom model. The other thing that's popping off at Bet the Number is, like I said, the live stuff. The live stuff, y'all, is only we in the Discord today, or not today, but this week in the Discord, we absolutely hammered hole 4 props, and there were other people tweeting about this on X, on Twitter, whatever. There were other people tweeting about it, but we were Bet the Number was one of the first ones in it, and I'm just telling you, they were all over it, and the Discord crushed as a result. The Discord absolutely crushed because we had green regulation numbers. We could narrow the strokes gained approach distance. We literally did it between 230 and 235 because we knew where the pins were going to be placed for number 4 at Riviera, and it was just sick. Okay, all right. I don't have the model pulled up. I don't have a model loaded yet. So I tell you what we could do. Let's see. What can we do? Let's see. I'm 17 minutes into this video. Let's just see what we get if we do a couple things here. Let me share my screen and let's go to. Actually, look at this live feature real quick. Look at this live. So this is live. I'm recording this on Saturday at the Genesis, right? So if you go to the tournament page, you'll see this where it says live tournament stats. That's what you need to see, and that's going to go live every Thursday, right when the action kicks off. Now we're bringing in live DraftKings Sportsbook odds, and you can add, you can sort it by the odds. You can do whatever you want here. Hold on, let me sort this by total again. Okay. We're bringing in live DK Sportsbook odds. So I'm just going to narrow down some columns here. I'm going to take this out. Okay. And you're seeing live strokes gain data, live birdie or betters, bogeys or worse, fairway percentage, green and reg, and ball speed. And you can sort it by round 1, round 2. You can sort it by all. You can sort it by round 3, round 4. You can sort it by the raw values, which is what we have here. You can sort it by rank. BTN scores or like Madden scores, kind of. This is sick. Now they added all that last weekend, and then this weekend you click on a row and you see the player's scorecard live. Like here's Rory. He's gone birdie, birdie, par, par. More is coming to this as well. Stay tuned. I'm just telling you, the live features on Bet the Number are sick, and it's coming in live from PGA Tour ShotLink certified data. You need to have this. Okay, let's go to the custom model and let's go to the Mexico Open. And let's see, let me just throw together a couple quick model things here. So if I go to, let me click on, let me click on Farmers, just because like Torrey obviously weighs a lot of longer hitting, mid to long iron stuff. I would say Torrey definitely like scrambling and or around the green play and all that kind of stuff is definitely more important at Torrey Pines. But for the most part, it's similar. It's similar. What do I even have here? I have strokes gained off the tee, ball speed. That's going to be important. Approach. Yeah, I've got a few key approach buckets. What's going on? There we go. Okay. So now let's just tweak this a little bit. Let's go. I want to go last. I just want to do last 24 rounds. That's the global filter. We'll keep the ball speed. Actually, I'm going to bump up ball speed. I'm going to go 8% on ball speed I'm going to knock down this a little bit. Overall approach, I'll knock that down a tad because I'm going to give a bigger boost to this 175. Let's actually lower this to like 250, or let's see, like how about like 240? 175 to 240 from the tee fairway. I'm going to take out the rough. Well, yeah, I'm going to take out the rough because there's a lot of tee to fairway shots. And I'll probably tweak this a little bit. Let's see. But see, like this from 75 to 140 at Torrey, I'm taking out. We don't even need this. I'm just going to delete it. Around the green, I'm going to delete it. Don't need it. Around the green, delete. Putting on POA, we don't really need that, so I'm just going to delete that. Putting 412 feet, nope, and delete that. Bogey avoidance, don't care about that. So right now I've just got this basic. Let's do what else should we do here? Let's do, and by the way, ball speed, the folks that bet the number, actually, let's do this. Let's do right rough or right miss tendency, which is the percentage of time a tee shot comes to rest right of the fairway, including bunkers, when the distance of the drive was determined by a laser. Let's do right miss tendency, and let's just give it a small. Let's just do like a 3%, because remember that was a big thing we got from our caddy nugget. Don't miss way right. So let's do. I would be interested to see kind of carry dis. No, I don't want to. I don't care about carry. Oh, now I'm getting too granular here. Let's go birdie or better. Let's go birdie or better percentage because you got to score here. So I'm going to give that a little bit. Let's add another one. I do love that you can also change the labels on Bet the Number. So you can make them shorter, easier to read, keep your columns nice and straight. Let's go. I did birdie or better. I mean, a going for the green could be something worth looking at. I'm going to avoid it for now. No around the green play. Let's do putting. Let's see if I do putting and I filter this. Let me go last. I mean, we're not going to have a ton of rounds, so let's just go last 20 rounds. Let's filter this by course. Let's go Coco. Is that even in here? Nope. Beach. No, it's not. Puerto Rico. What's the Nope, not even in here. All right, so let's go green grass. Let's go past Palom. Okay, we've only got these two in here. So let's go there. Apply. And let me actually bump that down. I'm just going to go like the last 10 rounds maybe, because we're probably not going to have a whole lot there. And I'm going to give this a small weight just to see it. Putt, pass. Okay. And let's see what else. What else we want to do? I'm going to go down to the not putting, but general scoring. So let's go par 5 birdie or better. Should we do that? I mean, that's probably going to be a little redundant, but we'll just do it for fun. P5 BOB. That's easy. Any others? Let me think. Hopefully this isn't boring you, but I'm building this on the fly. Scoring average birdie or better percentage. All right. We don't need bogey avoidance. We don't need any of that. I mean, if I wanted to, I could go like this is one way I like to do course history sometimes, although I don't think it matters very much here. So I'm just going to give it a small weight. I'll give it like 2%. Because I'm going to filter it to the last 8 rounds at Vidanta. So I'm just going to search Vidanta. Whoop, there we go. So it'll only show me strokes gained tee to green, T2G Vidanta. See, that's how we do that. All right, now my percentages are off. But hey, here's another fun fact: if your percentages are off and you just hit apply, the model will ratio it to 100 at like even without you having to do the math. Super easy. So I'm just gonna hit apply and see what we spit out here. Hopefully this is a little educational as we start talking about how to build the model, but I'm going to see what this spits out. Here we go. So model rank Tony Finau, number 1. Makes sense. Rico Hoey, Keith Mitchell, Taylor Pendrith. Now this field is given to us on Friday. It gets loaded into Bet the Number pretty quickly. There are no outright odds out yet, so we don't have any of those. No DFS prices yet, so we don't have any of those. You've got your course history over here, your incoming recent form, and this actually shows you where they currently stand if they're playing the Genesis. So you obviously want to make sure you update that. If they don't have enough data for the putting on Paspalum between Vedanta and Mayakoba, then it'll just give you a blank. And I believe that nets out to 0. So that's important. All right. That's kind of the overall look. EVR's coming back. That's nice. I don't know who Preston Stanley is. Who is Preston Stanley? What the fresh? Okay, I don't know. Johnny V. Johnny V kind of showed a little bit of something at the Farmers. That was good to see. Not the Farmers. Sorry, I was looking at a different column. At the Waste Management. That's right, Waste Management. Hoygaard. Ooh, this could be a great place for Hoygaard, actually. A lot of bombers up here, as you can see, ton of ball speed numbers. And if you scroll to the bottom, you see a lot of guys with red or no green color ball speed, except Ryan Brim. God bless. He hits it a mile, can't do anything else. All right, I think that's probably it for me. Check out Bet the Number, check out Swannies, and podcast will drop on Monday. Listen, I know it's Vedanta, the field is lame, but the money spends the same. If you win the money, bending over your bookie or making your screens green in DFS, it spins the same. So let's put in the work, let's do the process, and let's have a week. Thank you. See ya.